it's BK here with another Game Jam update. So this is the end of the the end of the Game Wisdom 2023 Game Jam, and I made a game called Death of a Hero, and it's kind of a light visual novel. I actually took out most of the story because most people didn't really read it or want to engage with it, so that's fine. And then I made a strategy kind of active time battle system thing. So yeah, I was just gonna go through kind of the game and talk about where I went wrong and show you how the battle works out and some of the endings, and then talk about the future of this kind of systems and the next jam we're going to be working on. So let's get into it. Again, this is a Death of a Hero made for the Game Wisdom Game Jam, and they wanted us to have volume sliders, but I was only able to do buttons, so I just didn't have time. We ran out of power and stuff like that. It wasn't just because we ran out of power, we lost power. I just had other projects going on, and I kind of spent too much time working on certain things. But so these volume buttons weren't acceptable with the requirement for the volume slider. So I'll mention too that the Game Jam was supposed to be for opposite day was the theme. So I had a couple approaches to that. This game was originally designed to be played one time, so it's kind of like that was an opposite. Most of the games are designed to be played multiple times. I ended up leaving that out. Also, you start at the end of the game, so that's kind of like another opposite. The strategy element of the game, the tactical element of the game, is active time rather than turn-based, so that's an opposite thing. And then yeah, the hero is supposed to die, so that's kind of another opposite. But anyways, so that's it. So here are the credits. The art was picked up by this person here on Patreon. There's their Twitter, and if you want to check out the music, I love this dude's music. And then thank you to Josh and the Game Wisdom team. This is spelled wrong, kind of intentionally, because this is supposed to be like warped reality right now. As we start the game, you'll see. Okay, so you wouldn't want the pain to stop. I was trying to get across here that if your character's like dying and you're trying to remember who you are, and through this process, it's also the character creator. So in my mind, what's happened is you fought in the final battle just now, and you died, and then starting the game is kind of coming back to life. And what you're doing is remembering who you are. So you pick if you want to be a warrior, a mage, or a fighter here. And then each one of these options affects the way your character is kitted out. So the types of abilities and things that they have are based on the story options here. So this is like, the background of the character. Are you a noble, orphan, or a disciplined pursuit, So one thing I majorly failed on here, and I wanted to do a lot, I just didn't have time, is when you hover over these buttons, it would explain what the effect would be. So like noble ancestry, it would show like acquire red potion, gain +3 HP, +1 speed, whatever the effects are. And then once you click on it, your character over here was essentially going to start to reveal more. Obviously those things didn't make it through. Another thing I got dinged on was the fact that the words don't fit all of the button space properly. This one specifically is which weapon you want. So if you want the sword, the dagger, or the staff. So this is supposed to be kind of like, how you got your weapons, like why you decided to pick that weapon. and then obviously this is the enemy, the necromancer. These are explaining like why you're at stake with him. Somebody mentioned there's a lot of show not tell, or sorry, tell not show, which it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the game is intentionally supposed to be a visual novel where you're kind of making these selections, but that's a really good feedback there. If I had more time, maybe I could have animated this whole event rather than writing text for it. Actually, if I had done that, I probably would have spent less time writing the text and just animated like the necromancer like beating up your guy and all that stuff. This is an effect that didn't get through. In the system, you have different, see it's, you can tell they're really off here. In the system, it's set up to be able to have like when your character activates, an effect will happen, but I never fully implemented that. So, and then this portion is after you've selected all of your kit options. It's kind of like bringing you up to speed with what's happening. So throughout your journey, so the basic storyline is you're ambushed by this necromancer. They kill your friend, and then you swear vengeance against them. So each of the different steps were ways that you're trying to gain power to kill the necromancer. So ultimately you infuse your weapon with Nexus abilities. The Nexus abilities can destroy souls and can then kill the necromancer. Like, that's your ultimate goal. So at this point, you're remembering going back to the final journey, or you're going back to attack the crypt of the necromancer. But before you leave, you have this like fateful encounter with a blind seer who gives you an amulet, and you don't really find out what the amulet does until after this. So this part here specifically is talking about the descent into the crypt. And I got dinged by some people who tested this because they didn't like that the text wasn't skippable at this section. So in the build that James played, I removed this section. I had an earlier build that had this section removed. Cool. So then once you're here, so this is like your character, and so you have two options. This is explaining to you like your life based on your choices. So you're kind of like now remembering who you are and what you've done to get to the point you're at. And so now you have to make a choice to whether give in to death or break the amulet. And breaking the amulet will continue your life and allow you to go into the game. The gameplay mechanics at least. So we're gonna do that this time, and I'll show you kind of how that works. Okay, so you have some things here. I should have another huge failure point I had was not explaining the way the game plays, or like who your character is, what the items are, that kind of thing. Like what these mean. So as we go through it, I'll kind of explain. So this green thing here are supposed to be souls. So when the skeletons die, they have a chance to become a soul, and then your character can collect the souls. After you've killed all of the skeletons and collected all of the souls, then you can attack the necromancer. So as you see here, we have this bar that fills up. Once it fills up, you can move your character. And then these different things here, it's actively timed, so we want to kind of act quickly. It's a little difficult at first. But yeah, some of the things that would have made the game a lot easier, I just didn't finish implementing. Like some of the abilities you had, like that resilience one we talked about. It would have increased your attack by 1 and healed you by 30% of your life. It just wasn't triggering properly. So as you can see here, we're damaging the skeletons with our fireball attack, and once we can make some ways out, we space ourselves farther, so that way we can keep the distance on them. This yellow number here is their attack value, and the red number is how much life they have. Our fireball attack does like 20 damage, so... But you can see here we have 4 souls on the board and 11 skeletons, 1 necromancer. You're not allowed to attack the necromancer until they have increased their... or until you have collected all the souls. The souls also block line of sight, or block movement. So you see how we've created this like barrier of souls. So now we can just sit here and cast fireball. And then its true sum can spawn up here next to you. So you still want to be careful. Another bug that I have in the game is you see they don't refresh their stats when they die. So you have that negative 23 number there. I had a lot of fun creating the active time system, and I think that it has a lot, there's some potential here with this system. There's also some issues and bugs, but overall, I think you can create some unique mechanics with the way the skeleton, with the way they move actively. So another thing I wanted to implement is like this push-pull mechanic, where as the necromancer literally doesn't do anything, but I wanted them to be able to like collect the souls, not attack you, but collect the souls. So like as they're active, they're going around and they need the soul to resummon him. So it was this like push-pull mechanic, but I obviously didn't get that far, so. And yeah, so then once you kill all the skeletons, you can kill the necro like that, and this is the worst possible ending because you can't read this text here. And basically in my head what's happened is your character has killed the necromancer, but the crypt has been sealed, so you're just stuck here with a dead necromancer, and yeah, you're just stuck to die. So that's ending 1. And like I said, the worst ending because it's pretty hard. And oh, another thing, they didn't like that this quote-unquote froze here, which this isn't frozen. I thought it would be more impactful to have your character here. I should have allowed you to keep moving. I think that would have made it more understanding of this program to be used on a much more useful program. And then instead of going back into the end game screen like the other endings, it closes itself. So like it's supposed to be kind of like this meta story, you know, like you're this hero and you're supposed to be dying, but really you're just memory being collected to be used for something better or more useful. But anyways, so yeah, that was Death of a Hero. I had a lot of fun at the Game Wisdom Jam. Definitely check out their YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description. And then what's next is we will be working with Super Chocolate Milkshake on the Scare Me Shakeless Jam. That's the next upcoming one. And we've already submitted the game. We're revisiting a game that we've been working on for a little while called... we started it back in 2022. It's called Drifting with the Devil. It's a drifting slash like eerie, haunting kind of game, about being trapped. So yeah, that's the game. That's our next game jam. And if you want to play Drifting with the Devil, I'll leave the link in the description as well. And appreciate you checking this out. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good one.